Hello everyone, I am Dr. Vibhash Kumar Ved, and today in this video we are going to discuss about the osteology of lumbar vertebra. The lumbar vertebra is identified by its large size, the absence of the costal facet on the side of the body, and the absence of the foramen transversarium on the transfer process. So in the lumbar region we have 5 lumbar vertebra, out of which first, second, third and fourth are typical type of lumbar vertebra because they have similar features, and the fifth lumbar vertebra are the atypical type of lumbar vertebra. So let's see in the detail. This is the typical type of lumbar vertebra. You can observe the body of this vertebra is kidney shaped, and the lateral diameter of the body is little bit greater than the anterior posterior diameter. Along with this, you can also observe the height of the anterior part of the body. This is the anterior part of the body, and here this is the posterior part of the body. So the height of the anterior part of the body is greater than the height of the posterior part of the body, and this greater height of the anterior part of the body which contributes forward convexity of the lumbar vertebra. And you can also observe here this is the vertebral foramen, and this vertebral foramen is triangular in shape and is large than in thoracic region, but this vertebral foramen of the lumbar vertebra is similar than the cervical region. Then you can see here this is called the pedicle, and this pedicle which connects body to this neural arches, and this pedicle are short and strong. You can observe this pedicle is short and strong, and they project backward from the upper part of the body. Here this is the pedicle which is project backward from the upper part of the body. This is the upper part of the body, so that the inferior vertebral notch are much deeper than the superior vertebral notch. Here you can observe this is the inferior vertebral notch which is much deeper than the superior vertebral notch. This one is called the superior vertebral notch. Then here you can observe this is called the laminae, and this laminae are short, thick, broad, and they are directed backward and medially. You can observe the laminae which is directed backward and medially, and it complete the vertebral foramen posteriorly. Also you can observe this is the vertebral foramen, and this laminae which posteriorly complete this vertebral foramen. Then the spine, you can observe here this is called the spine of the typical lumbar vertebra, and this spine is vertical quadrilateral plate in shape. You can observe here the spine of this type of vertebra is vertical quadrilateral plate in shape, and when you see the direction of the spine, it is directed almost backward and only slightly downward. Here this spine is directed backward and slightly downward, and it is thick along its posterior and inferior border. You can observe the spine is thick along with the posterior. This is the posterior border of the spine, and here you can observe this is the inferior border of the spine. So the posterior border and the inferior border of the spine are thick. Then the transverse process. Here you can see this is called the transverse process. These two are the transfer process, and this transfer process are thin and tapering and are directed laterally and slightly backward. You can see here the transfer process are thin and tapering, and this transfer process which is directed laterally and slightly backward. These develop from the costal element and are homologous with the ribs in the thoracic region. The posterior inferior aspect of the root of the east transfer process is marked by a small rough tubercle. You can see here the posterior inferior part of the east transfer process which is marked by a rough tubercle, and this rough tubercle or elevation you can observe here the posterior inferiorly of the each transfer process has a rough elevation, and this rough elevation is called the S3 process, which represents the true transfer process of the vertebra as it develops from the transverse element of the vertebra. The length of the transfer process increase from the vertebra L1 to L3 and thereafter it is decrease. Then the superior articular process, here this is called the superior articular process, and this superior articular process lies further apart than the inferior articular process. This is called the inferior articular process, and this superior articular process which bear a concave articular facet which faces posterior-medially. You can observe here both the superior articular process which bear a concave articular facet over here. This is the superior articular facet, and this both the superior articular facet which faces posterior-medially. Then in the same manner you can see here this is called the inferior articular process here, and this inferior articular process lies nearer to each other. Here you can see this two inferior articular process which lies nearer to each other as compared to this superior articular process, and each inferior articular process which also wear a inferior articular facet over here. Here you can see this facet is called the inferior articular facet, and this inferior articular facet is convex and faces anterolaterally. So this is all about the typical type of lumbar vertebra. Now we'll discuss about the atypical type of the lumbar vertebra. This is fifth lumbar vertebra, and this fifth lumbar vertebra considered as a atypical type of the lumbar vertebra because their features are different from the other lumbar vertebra. And you can see here this is called the transverse process, and this transfer process are thick, short and pyramidal in shape. You can observe the transfer process is a pyramidal in shape and it is also thick, and the base of the transfer process, this is called the base of the transfer process, and this base of the transfer process which attached to the whole thickness of the pedicle. You can see here this is called the pedicle, and this base of this transfer process which attach over this whole thickness of the pedicle and encrosses on the side of the body. Then you can see here this is called the superior articular process, these two, and inferiorly these two are the inferior articular process, and the distance between the inferior articular process is equal to or more than the distance between the superior articular process. Here you can see these two are the superior articular process. Then you can observe here this is called the spine of the atypical type of the lumbar vertebra, and this spine is small, short and rounded at the tip. You can observe here this is the tip of the spine, and this tip is rounded. Then you can also observe this is called the body of the fifth lumbar vertebra, and this body is the largest of the all lumbar vertebra. Its anterior surface, you can see here this is called the anterior surface of the body, and this anterior surface is much extensive than the posterior surface. Here this is called the posterior surface, and this anterior surface is much extensive, and this difference is responsible for the creation of the sharp lumbosacral angle or the sacrovertebral angle, and it's 120 degree in the adult. Then you can see this is the pedicle, and this pedicle are directed backward and laterally. You can observe this both the pedicle which is directed backward and laterally. Then the superior articular process, these two are the superior articular process, and these two superior articular process which wear a facet over here. You can see here this is called the facet over the superior articular process called superior facet, and this facet looks more backward than the medially, and the inferior articular facet over here this is called the inferior articular facet which bear the inferior articular process, and this inferior articular facets look more forward than the laterally as compared to other lumbar vertebra. So this is all about the features of the lumbar vertebrae. Now we'll discuss about the relation and the attachment of the lumbar vertebrae. The upper and the lower surface of the body of the vertebra, these two surfaces which lies in contact with the intervertebral disc. Then the anterior superior margin of the body of the vertebra, here this is called the anterior superior margin, and this one is the anterior inferior margin, and these two margin which provide attachment of the anterior longitudinal ligament. Over here we have attachment of the anterior longitudinal ligament. In the same manner, posteriorly the upper margin and the lower margin of the posterior surface of the body, this surface which provide attachment of the posterior longitudinal ligament. And just lateral to the attachment of the anterior longitudinal ligament, here on the lateral side of the anterior longitudinal ligament, on the right side we have attachment of the right crus of the diaphragm to the upper three lumbar vertebrae, and on the left side we have attachment of the left crus of the diaphragm to the upper two lumbar vertebrae. Then behind the line of the crura of the upper and lower border of the all lumbar vertebrae which give origin to the psoas major muscle. Over here on the both side we have attachment of the psoas major muscle here also. Then across the constricted part of the body on the either side of the body, which tendinous arch is attached on the either side, here we have attachment of the tendinous arch. The lumbar vessels and the gray ramus communicate with the sympathetic chain passes deep to each of these arches. Then the vertebral canal, you can see here this is called the vertebral canal. The part of the vertebral canal formed by the first lumbar vertebra contains the conus medullaris. The part formed by the lower four vertebrae contains the cauda equina. The canal of the all lumbar vertebra contains the spinal meninges. Then the vertebral arches, here behind this is all the vertebral arches. First the pedicle, here this is called the pedicle, and this pedicle are related above and below to the spinal nerve. Then here you can see this is called the laminae, and this lamina provide attachment to the ligamentum flava. Over here we have attachment of the ligamentum flava on the both side of the lamina. Then the spine, here this is called the spine of the lumbar vertebra, and this spine which provide attachment to the posterior layer of the lumbar fascia, the interspinous and supraspinous ligament, the erector spinae, multifidus, and the infraspinous muscle. These are the muscle which attach over this spine. Then over the transfer process we have attachment of the tip of the transfer process of all lumbar vertebra which give attachment to the middle layer of the lumbar fascia. In addition, the tip of the first process give attachment to the medial and lateral arcuate ligament, and the tip of the fifth process to the iliolumbar ligament. The Fendt vertical ridge over the anterior surface of both the transfer process, you can observe a Fendt vertical ridge over here, and this Fendt vertical ridge which give attachment to the anterior layer of the lumbar fascia. Medial to this ridge, you can see here this is the ridge, and medial to this ridge we have a attachment of the psoas major muscle. You can see here we have attachment of the psoas major muscle, and lateral to this ridge over here we have a attachment of the quadratus lumborum muscle. Then the posterior surface of the transverse process, this is called the posterior surface of the transverse process, and this posterior surface is covered by the deep muscle of the back and give origin to the fiber of the longissimus thoracic, part of the erector spinae. The accessory process over here, you can observe this is called the accessory process of the transfer process, and this S3 process which give attachment to the medial intertransverse muscle. Then the upper and the lower border, here this is the upper border and this one is the lower border of the transfer process, and this two border which provide attachment to the lateral intertransverse muscles. So this is all about the attachments and relation of the lumbar vertebra. The lumbar region is a common site of number of developmental deformities, causing symptoms ranging from the simple backache to the serious paralytic manifestation. Then the sacralization of the fifth lumbar vertebra. The fifth lumbar vertebra or its transfer process may be fused on or both sides with the sacrum. Sometimes the transfer process may be articulate with the ala of the sacrum or with the ilium. This may press on the fifth lumbar nerve. Sometimes the body ossifies from the two primary centers, and if one center fails to develop, it results in hemivertebra. Then spina bifida. The two halves of the neural arch may fail to fuse, leaving a gap in the midline. This is called spina bifida. Meninges and spinal cord may be herniated out through this gap. The protrusion of the meninges alone result in the formation of the cystic swelling filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. This swelling is called the meningocele. When the spinal cord is also present in the swelling, the condition is called the meningomyocele. The central canal of the herniated part of the cord may be dilated. This condition is called the syringomyocele. Sometimes a spina bifida is present, but there is no protrusion through it, so that there is no swelling on the surface. This is referred to a spina bifida occulta. Then the spondylolisthesis. Sometimes the greater part of the lumbar vertebra slips forward over the sacrum. Normally the tendency to forward slipping is prevented by the fact that is the inferior articular process of the fifth lumbar vertebra lies behind the superior articular process of the first sacral vertebra. The spondylolisthesis may be cause of the backache and the pain radiating along the course of the sciatic nerve known as the sciatica. The unequal tension in the joint of the internal dearrangement lead to muscle spasm and violent pain of acute lumbago. Disc prolapse is usually posterolateral. This press upon the adjacent nerve root and give rise to referred pain such as sciatica. The disc prolapse occur most commonly in lower lumbar region and is also common in lower cervical region. There may be projection of the spines posteriorly due to the osteoporosis of the body of the vertebra leading to kyphosis. The anterior convexity of the lumbar vertebra may get exaggerated, leading to the lumbar lordosis. This is all about the typical and atypical type of the lumbar vertebrae. I hope all of you understood the topic. Thank you for watching.